Hey, let's talk about how we make simple photo galleries super fast. This is very important because we want the whole user journey creating a gallery to be simple, easy, smooth, and the gallery should be there immediately. They don't need to wait for any processing or anything. And a key aspect of this are the thumbnails. Because having good thumbnails means your gallery is gonna load super fast, but you also need to generate them, so you don't want to have the user wait too long. Everything should be available immediately, and the thumbnails should be high quality and they should look great. So let's dive deeper and see how we do it. We use Cloudflare to store all photos and videos and actually all static files. And Cloudflare gives you a super fast CDN. And then Cloudflare R2 offers object storage that is it's actually much cheaper than AWS or GCP, and also has a nice property that there are no egress fees. So basically, don't pay for the user downloading and looking at the files, which is great. So this is how our production bucket looks like, and this is one of our my test user. And you can see I already have the folders of multiple galleries, and we have a subdomain connected to it, so all photos are going to be served to the media.symbol.photo domain, and this is super fast. Now, when the user uploads the photos, we want thumbnails to be generated immediately. This means that even while we are uploading the photos and the gallery is not ready, we want to start generating the thumbnails in the background. So once the gallery is ready, they can immediately see it. And this, how it's done, is we're using Cloudflare Workers. So I'll show you just the infrastructure, then we're gonna do an experiment. So basically we have this worker that listens for new files in the production bucket, right? So as soon as a new file arrives, notification is triggered through a queue, and the worker can fetch the new images in batches and process and create the thumbnails immediately. The nice things about the workers is that you can spin up multiple workers in parallel, and Cloudflare is handling all of this. So as soon as we upload a file, it's going to automatically trigger the worker. It's going to create the thumbnail and store it in the bucket itself. So it's ready to be served. So let's see how this works. So I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to create a new gallery here. So I got some test photos from a trip in Brazil. I'm going to give it a name. Brazil test. I'm going to make it public so the folder structure is simpler. And then once I hit save, the photos are going to start the uploading. And then we switch to the bucket so we see how the thumbnails are generated in real time. So I'm click save and the upload starts. So refreshing here, I'm now going to see why is here is Cloudflare super slow. So basically here are the photos, and if you go to the thumbs folder, you're gonna see that thumbnails are already generated. And then if you refresh, we see how a couple of more came in. But you see the photo is here and the thumbnails are already generated, so I can click it and everything is there. So how does the worker actually do the job? I have the source code of the worker here in the gist, and I'm going to post it in the description so you can take a look. But the basic idea is you fetch multiple photos. This is actually important. We don't want to have a worker process only one photo because it's not efficient. You need to tune the balance of how big your batch is. Here we're using batches of 4. So basically we fetch the whole batch. There are some checks to see if if they're actually photos and not some other kind of files, that we're not processing the thumbnails, only allow for extensions, that it's actually an image. And once we are done with all the checks, we determine the resolution of the photos, and then we call the create thumbnail function. We use the images binding, the images API from Cloudflare, which is basically an API that does image processing, and it's optimized for workers, so it's very simple to use. And just pass it the photo, specify your transform and the output format, and you're there. And then the resulting file is again stored in the bucket. We're generating two thumbnails with the default thumbnail size and twice the size for retina displays. And then here you can see all the thumbnails, the regular and the retina ones. And we have another worker that generates the different versions of the photo for this header. So we have portrait, landscape, to just have it generated super fast and loaded super fast. So, and this is how it works. We can look in the observability for the workers is always a couple of seconds late. So this was why I was waiting a little bit. So let me check the events. So we have here some of the processing events, and you see it. It's actually five messages in parallel. Reading all the objects and then getting the details of the photo, creating the thumbnail, and so on. So it's actually so fast that we couldn't barely see it, and the Cloudflare dashboard was a bit slow. But yeah, usually as soon as you have the gallery ready, the thumbnails are already generated. This works for huge galleries as well. You can upload 1,000 photos. It's going to take a while to upload, but the nice thing is while you're uploading some of the photos, you're already generating the thumbnails in the background. So this is the way we decided to do things. I just want to mention another way that could be an option. Is the Cloudflare Images API offers a nice feature to create thumbnails on the fly. So basically how it works is you construct a special URL using the CDN CGI route /image. And then you basically, this is your domain. And the nice thing is it's already there. As long as you're using proxy Cloudflare DNS, you have this available. So you put your subdomain or domain, the CDN CGI /image, then you define your transformation options and then the image you want to transform. I've prepared one example here. So this is the photo we saw before. And now we say media simple.photo, CDN CGI image, and then we say, okay, we want the photo to have width of 300, quality of 50, and then pass the file key of the image. So you can see this is live, so I can change it to 600. It's going to give me a bigger image. So the nice thing about this is that you wouldn't have to do any processing. You could just put the thumbnails here. Well, we didn't go for this route is this actually takes a little bit of time. So it's fast, but on the first load, you still have a moment when they're generating the thumbnail that you kind of see that the thumbnails are not ready, and you still see the blur hashes, but it's not as nice as just having them created. And the other thing is Cloudflare charges you per transformation. So if we do the thing with the worker, it's fine. We paid one transformation, then it's there forever, it's cached. While this URL, you pay the transformation every month. So the transformation counts only for 1 month. Next month you have to pay it again. So we wanted to have like a more predictable structure. So you spend a little bit more storage, but thumbnail is actually very small. So in the end, we thought this is the way that it's faster for the user, even for the first open of the gallery. All your thumbnails are already there, no need to be generated on the fly, and it's more predictable structure. So yeah, that's the overview how we create thumbnails on Cloudflare. If you have any questions, submit them in the comments.